All right, well, welcome to the fourth installment of how to get your course set up in Canvas. This particular video, our clear learning target, is going to be to learn how to set up our Canvas course settings. So for every course you're going to use Canvas for, there are some settings that would be useful to set up ahead of time even before you start adding content or publishing it so students can see it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing I want to note is that when you're on your dashboard in Canvas, your courses are going to look more like this before you've done any setup than this. So you'll notice I've got some different icons that are probably on these courses that I'm already using that you probably don't have. You probably just have a blank spot there. And the reason for that is until you add these types of content, so this would be announcements, assignments, discussions, files. Those icons are not going to show up on the course dashboard underneath that course. Those are kind of like quick links to those types of content. So don't be confused by that if yours doesn't look quite like that. So I've added a course that I don't use Canvas for currently, so I can show you what it looks like the first time you go in to set it up. So let's go ahead and click on that. And you'll notice I clicked on, actually I want to go back there. Notice that I clicked on the name of the course to go into the course. All this little menu button up here does is allow you to change the nickname or the color. So to actually access the course, you got to click on the name. And you'll notice we've got quite a few little areas to look at here. So let's look at these. This is going to be the main area. This is where what Canvas calls modules will be displayed. Modules are kind of like units. So that's where they'll see, for every unit that you add or module, they'll see a list of content that you're adding to that module for them to look at, whether it's assignments or discussions or pages, links, and we'll talk more about that in the next video. This area on the left is going to be their navigation bar. It's also your navigation bar. Now you'll notice that some of these names or labels are grayed out. That doesn't mean that you can't click on them, and that's a little confusing for folks. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if I want to click on files here, I can do that even though it's grayed out. So for Canvas, graying out that word doesn't mean that I can't click on it. It just means that I haven't set anything up. Oops. I haven't set anything up in that area. Let me get back here. Okay. So just be aware of that. Now, one of the things I want to point out is if you'll click on people, people are all the people that have access to this course. So you'll notice all of the students are already added. This is what I said previously, that Canvas talks to PowerSchool. So you don't have to go searching for your students. They're all going to be in there. You can also add people to the course. You can add people as in different roles. So you can add them as student, teacher, TA, designer, or observer. If I'm teaching a course with another teacher, like Honors English 12, I teach with Ms. Pettit Shaheen, I've added her to my course as a teacher. And so to do that, I've just put in her HCD email address in there and made sure that, of course, I was working with English rather than journalism. And I usually find it helpful to check this box, can interact with users in their section only. And then I would hit next and add, and she'll get an email link, and she can click on that. And we've done that process already. So that's if you teach or co-teach a course with another teacher that you want to use Canvas for, that's how you can have access to each other's courses that way. All right. Groups is something that is really cool, but we'll talk about that in a different upcoming video. All right. So let's talk about one of the most important things for your course, which is the settings. So I'm going to click on the settings here. And actually what it should open up to are the course details. All right, so there's a couple important things that you need to go ahead and put in here, and that would be the start date and the end date for the course. So the start date for the course is going to be any date before you actually want students to have access. You can even get as specific as having a time, which if for a start date I wouldn't worry about. If you do want to change the time on these little date things, there's a little trick to it. You want to put in the time, choose AM or PM, and then to save the time you've got to hit done. All right. If I would have changed the time without hitting done, let's say to 6, notice it's not going to save. It's still saying 5. So just make sure you hit done whenever you change the time. That's something that I've learned. And then the end date, obviously you want to select the end date for the course. For a semester course, I'll just put December 31st. All right. And then the rest of these settings I've not really had to mess with much. Oh yes, this one is important. Enable course grading scheme. So Canvas doesn't automatically import the Hamilton County grading scale for whatever reason. So it's real easy to go in and set up. Just check that box and then click on Set Grading Scheme. And then to set up another grading scheme, you're going to hit Select Another Scheme. Whoops. Just kidding. You're going to go to Manage Grading Schemes. And then you're going to select Add Grading Scheme. All right. And then I would just title this HCDE. And what I did is I just went through and deleted these A minuses, B pluses, and just so all I had was the 5 letters there that I need. And then you can choose the range. So obviously an A goes down to a 93, B to an 85. All right, and so on and so forth. And then when you're done, you would want to hit Save. All right. Now, once you've done that, it's saved that as your grading scheme. But what you need to do is you need to go back now to Settings. And click Enable Grading Scheme. One of the things that we didn't do is we didn't update the details when we changed the start date. So that's what you've got to do when you make any changes to this page that you want to save. You've got to update the details. So I'm going to go ahead and change the start date again, change the end date, and then I'm going to update. And now I'm going to go in, enable the course grading scheme, view grading scheme, select another, and there's my HCDE. So I'll just select that, use this grading standard, and then hit done. All right, and then of course, update. All right, so those are the course detail settings that you probably want to change. A couple of these other tabs, sections, I have not really messed around with add a new section. I'm not quite sure what you would use it for. This is not going to be the option that you want to choose. Let's say, it seems ironic, I know, but if you want to teach, or if you teach multiple sections of a course that you want to use Canvas for, like journalism, I have more than one section. This is not how I would go about getting the same content in both sections. So I just kind of leave this one alone. Navigation, this one is important. So this is how you change the order of what your students see and what you would see in this left-hand panel, so your navigation panel. The way that you would rearrange these, and this is what arrangement I found to be useful. I put modules, and I can just click and drag modules right underneath the home. And then I'm going to move pages underneath modules, then assignments, then announcements, and then a couple more, files, Google Drive, and discussions. Sometimes I guess I'll put that under assignments because we use that quite a lot. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of putting the type of content that we tend to use more frequently higher up on the navigation bar. Now, there are some of these that I don't use. Like I don't use Discovery Ed, but maybe you would. But since I don't really need it on the navigation bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hit that little 3-dot column there and click Disable. Or I can click and drag something to this little bottom section here, and everything that's down here is disabled. The students won't see it. Now, notice that I put syllabus down there. Syllabus is just sort of like a listing of assignments. It's not like your course syllabus, like your file or your PDF. So I just go ahead and put that down there. Attendance, I don't take attendance in Canvas, obviously. Maybe one day we will, I don't know. Grades, the grades are posted in PowerSchool, so I'll just move that down there typically. People, I don't really need, once I've got that set up, I don't really need that in the navigation bar. And of course you can play around with these some more and customize them for whatever works. The main thing is that once you're finished, you want to hit save. And then that will change what they're able to see in the left-hand column. To demonstrate that, I'm going to go to Home. Okay. And notice that I can see things that I've disabled for students, like syllabus, collaborations, things like that. Those are still there. But if I go to Student View, see it as a student, now those things are gone. Now they only see what I've enabled or the type of content that I've created. So I have enabled, for example, modules, assignments, discussions, but because I haven't created modules or pages or assignments, they're not in their navigation yet. Okay, so that's why you don't see those. So I'm going to leave Student View now. All right. So once more, I'm going to go back into Settings. And I want to show you the app settings. So these are external apps that work with Canvas. There's quite a few that will automatically allow you to import content from these apps. This is an area where I've explored a little bit of it, but I haven't really gotten into the weeds of how all this works. I do know there's a lot of cool stuff that often people will use, like Quizlet. So if I want to search for an app, I can search in the toolbar there, and if I want to add the app to my course, I can click Add, and then add that app. And it will install it. And what that means by installing it, it means that when I go to design, like let's say a page or an assignment, if I've installed an app, what it should allow me to do is import content directly from that app into an assignment or into a page of content that I'm creating for my students. Again, this is all kind of advanced stuff, but I just wanted to point out what that feature was, and we can explore how to use it later. Feature options, I've not used any of this, so feel free to explore that at your leisure. All right, as we go over here to the right-hand column, we see a few things that we can explore. Course statistics. These allow us to kind of see, how students are using Canvas, and particularly with our course. So we can see, how many assignments have been uploaded, the number of submissions that we've had for quizzes or discussions. We can look at individual students who have used it. And these are just some of the students that have logged into Canvas, but again, I'm not using this course. We can also look at file storage. Notice that each course comes with almost 5 terabytes of storage. So this is really good, like for courses, for example, like my film course that rely heavily on video content. I can take clips of videos and store them in Canvas, and I'm probably not going to run out of storage even with video content. So that's nice. All right, go back to settings here for a second. We'll just finish up. The course calendar is kind of exactly what it appears to be. It's just a calendar for this particular course. You'll see this populate, obviously, as you add content, and your students can see this as well. And you can also get to that by clicking on calendar in the left hand side of the main toolbar there. And just a couple more settings I want to point out. All right, so this setting in particular, import course content, this has become something that I've used a lot, especially when teaching Honors English 12 with Ms. Pettit Shaheen. Sometimes she'll create an assignment or a page, or I'll create an assignment or a page, and we want to use that for both of our sections. So the import course content becomes a great way to do that. I'm not going to go in depth into it here, but I just want to click on it and show you what happens. When we import content, the content type that we're most typically going to be importing is content from a Canvas course. So I would select that. And I can choose content from one of her classes because she's added me as a teacher using the People tab down here. She's added me. Or I can import content from another class. So this is really useful if you teach multiple sections of the same class. So if I were using this for journalism and I teach 2 sections of journalism, so I may have one section where I create all the content, and then I would go to the other section. I'm just going to pick my Honors English 12 course. And let's say that I want to import specific content. So I'm going to select that little mark right there. Now notice it doesn't let me choose anything else yet. So what I've got to do is then click import. Then it's going to allow me to actually select the content from that Honors English 12 course that I want to import. So I'm going to select content. And you can see that you can get very, very specific and specialized with the type of content. So if I wanted to import an assignment from another course section into this course, I would click on this arrow, and I would select either assignments or assignments that I've imported from elsewhere. I'll just hit that drop down. And let's say I want to import college essay rough draft. So I would check that and then hit select content, and it will import it into the assignments section under my course. All right, so I'm not actually going to do that. But that is a tool that you'll find in the settings section for each particular course. All right. So that's why I wanted to point that out. Again, some of that's that's a little bit more of an advanced way to go about doing things, and you probably won't use that unless you're teaching either multiple sections of the same course, or if you're co-teaching a course with someone else. So that's what you would use that for. Again, if you have any questions, obviously I would recommend that you either ask, come see me, or access the help. In fact, just before I made this video, I had a question and I logged on with chat, and my question was answered within about 2 seconds, and this is on a Saturday. So Canvas support is on it, and they are chomping at the bit to help you out. All right, so that's all for this course. The next course, we're going to look at how to start adding how to create a module and how to start adding content so that your students can start accessing your course content through Canvas. Thanks a lot.